What's going on, Tribe? Welcome back to episode 4 of Tribe Talk. We've had a privilege of speaking with the FPL boys in episode 1. Then it was FPL Joelinton, who is also a fantasy football hub writer and a Chelsea fan. He came on in the episodes 2. Last week it was Standing Football, aka Sankalp, where we went in depth about Arsenal's season and their FPL assets. Today we have yet another, as his Twitter profile says, FPL addict on our show, an experienced FPL manager, and more importantly, a Newcastle fan. Super excited to welcome FPL Joelinton. What's up, man? How are you doing?
Thank you. Hi, how are you doing? Thanks for having me on this. It's a privilege.
Has had 3 finishes in the top 10 in the last 4 seasons. Best ever rank of 4715, which was 4 seasons back. Almost every season you have been in the top 85,000.
Yeah, I think I had a blip in 13, 14. I don't remember what happened then. It's too long ago. But yeah, no, I've been lucky. I've got some good finishes in there.
How has the season been? The current one?
It's been interesting. I don't know the exact rank midweek. I'm around 20k at the moment,
right.
And been up and down. I didn't start great, and then I went on a nice little run mid-season. I went from I think 108 pretty much since then, so a good 10-12 game weeks. Fair to say, Son has every time I'm like, it's this week I get up to near top 10k, Son comes along and scores 2. But other than that, it's been I think in grand scheme of things, it's been a good season.
Just going back on Son, I was just looking at the FPL points, and obviously Salah is at 253, Son is at 223, and Salah has been owned most of the times above 50% ownership since the time I think he hit the ground running this season. With Son, his ownership has never crossed 25%.
It's been, yeah, you're right. Son's been, it's in my own fault. I think everyone who doesn't know them, it's kind of their own fault. He always does brilliant. I think the fact for me, I've got Salah, and over the years, as boring as it is, I kind of have Salah, keep him, generally captain him most times. And I think from the Spurs perspective, I was very much like, there's not many good strikers out there at the moment. At the point I was making the decision between Kane and Son on like wild card, they were doing relatively similar. Kane came into his form, so I was like, Kane has not many striker options to replace him. Yeah, you could go Ronaldo or something like that. But I went Kane. I was like, I'm hoping the other midfielders like Salah, Saka, a City midfielder could maybe cover Son. And it's in the week that people generally captain, so that he's given people some really big scores recently, which if you own him, you're reaping all the benefits.
Even his double-digit hauls have been very big. It's not like he gets 11, 12. He usually gets above 15 points, touching 18 or 19. Goal and assist for him with a clean sheet, obviously, as a midfielder, does get him more points. And he has been lethal in terms of finishing.
It's really impressive. And Son's always done it. Like he's always outperformed like XG, anything that you kind of expect. He's an elite finisher. He always has been. This little period he's gone on though, this 5-6 weeks just gone, has been like next level. Like the goal he scored, left foot, top corner. He's not even left footed.
Top class.
In terms of goals with left foot, he is in like the top 3 or 4, and he's the only one that is actually right footed.
All right, super excited speaking to Newcastle fans. Is it fair to say is there exciting times to be a Newcastle fan?
It's definitely exciting based on what's happened the last however many years Ashley was in charge. It was just devoid of any hope, really. It was just hope to survive next season, more of the same, struggle to get a signing in or maybe get a couple of loan signings and stuff like that. It does feel like it's a completely new era. They're trying to set all the foundations up correctly so the club actually runs how a club should be run, essentially.
This is for how he took over, and obviously the bottom table is currently Newcastle State. I think they're now 10th after the loss day for yesterday from Liverpool.
Yes.
And I think they're the first team in the Premier League era to be surviving the drop after going winless in the first 14 games. First of all, Eddie Howe coming in, though to be honest, yes, he did wonders at Bournemouth, but Bournemouth still is a small club. Yes, he did. I think he has finished in top 10 once or twice in the 5 or 6 seasons he was there. But Newcastle is a different monster altogether. You can't compare Newcastle to Bournemouth. The fans, the stadium, it's the 8th largest stadium in England. How do you see Howie's presence changing the whole fortunes of Newcastle?
It's been very night and day, the situation, just everything. So I was never a fan of Steve Bruce, and he should have gone. The year we finished, I can't remember, I think we finished 11th or something like that, and the year prior, and everyone was like, oh, what a result. He's done such a good job, which, yeah, he did a good job to avoid relegation. Every stat, every metric, we overperformed. We got so lucky that season to be where we are. We should have been right in the relegation fight. So it was never going to last long that we were going to do well. There's no desire to try and be better, it seemed. Howe come in, he had to change, essentially try and change the whole mentality. He's built, I think, the atmosphere, which is probably the biggest thing. You could tell the players didn't really want to be there. You see the first 20 minutes under Bruce, we looked all right. Like sometimes we looked like we had something, but then the fuel was gone. We were tired. We were leggy. No one was running come 80 minutes. It was that. So he's changed a lot of stuff. Fitness being the biggest thing, mentality of just kind of, there's a togetherness now at Newcastle. And I think a lot of people questioned his coaching from a defensive standpoint. We're terrible at the back anyway. Why would Howe come in and change that for the better? Surely it won't make a difference. You need someone with a good, solid defence. And yeah, we bought a lot of defenders, but I think he's shown that he knows how to set. He spent some time in Atletico Madrid with Diego Simeone in his period that he was off management. So he's changed pretty much everything. The improvement in, yes, we bought a lot of players, but the improvement in the players that were already there. So many players that were under Bruce didn't get a game. When they did play, they looked like championship players. So you had, I know Fabian Schär, for example, couldn't even get in the starting 11. So yeah, he's changed a lot, and I think he's clearly he's got a long way to go. He's got a whole of next season.
Yeah, his signing, as you rightly said, that his signing was, why would you get a manager who has shipped 60 goals every season when he was in charge of Bournemouth? And 60 goals, if you're shipping 60 goals in a Premier League season, you definitely are getting relegated, or you will be fighting relegation. Came to Newcastle with some plan, and when he was approached, he had given a proposal how he's going to change things at Newcastle. And he had mentioned his plan was similar to what he has done till now in his life as a manager. Then he mentioned that he had to tweak around his original plan, what he had presented to the owners. And that's where, and I think I was not aware about this Simeone stint that he did when he was not a manager. So maybe that has definitely helped in his mentality. But he did make a tweak in his plans and started concentrating more towards the defensive aspect as well. From an FPL perspective as well, whole community going for Dubravka, Schär.
Yeah, I think he's shown probably at Bournemouth. He did an unbelievable job at Bournemouth. People seem to forget that, and that he shipped loads of goals, and they ended up getting relegated in his final year. But I think he's kind of alluded to it in his press conferences. Like, now we're safe. He can maybe let them, have a bit more freedom and play a little bit more rather than maybe a bit more rigid at the moment, just trying to get results. You're playing under a lot of pressure. Sometimes the best way to do that is just, first and foremost, not ship easy goals and be easy to play against.
I read a stat somewhere, since 1920 season, now is the first time ever the expected goals conceded seeing a downturn in terms of they're becoming solid at the back.
It's massive in the sense of, that's what I noticed, like when people finished 11th, like all the pundits, and rightly say, we finished 11th, well done. It's a results business at the end of the day. If you do it, you do it. But everything that season suggested we should have been near the bottom. It was the same for the first 8 games that he managed us this season, more than 8 games. But he was just, the stats were terrible. We were conceding so many chances, and it wasn't like we were conceding a lot of chances, but we were creating a lot at the other end. We weren't creating anything, and we were conceding. It was the game that Liverpool just beat Newcastle in. That wasn't great from a Newcastle perspective. We would deserve to get beaten way more than 1-0. It was a bit lucky, to be honest. Those are the type of games that we would do, but against not Liverpool, not against mid-table Premier League teams. We would try and wouldn't create anything, and leave ourselves massively wide open at the back.
The last 3-4 game weeks, if somebody was to ask me the most shocking result till now in Premier League, I think it was a 5-1 loss to Spurs. 5-1? Seriously? Where did this come from?
It was a weird game, that, because first half, I want to say I think it was 1-1. I think it was 1-1.
Yeah, and I think Newcastle scored first.
Yeah, and we were playing well. We were looking decent. They got the goal just before half time, I think. And then second half, Conte, Kane, I don't know who did it, but Kane just dominated everything, and we couldn't get to grips with him. We tried to change everything. He was coming so deep. No one was really picking him up. Kane dominated everything over the top to Son. And I think a bit of naivety from our team when we were 2-1, 3-1 down, trying to chase it rather than just take our time for 10 minutes, try and get back in the game.
Right.
And that's when Spurs are at their best, right? When they got loads of space in behind, Kane playing into Kulusevski. And
the only facet of the game where Kane did not dominate is he did not get any FPL points in that game. So there was not even a single assist, nor a goal. So there were 5 different scorers that day.
It was one of those games from as a Kane owner, I was like, we're getting beaten. Can he at least do something while Son was doing his usual stuff to me every week?
January signings for Newcastle. This is the biggest January window that they've ever had.
This is the first January, you're right, I think, that we've had a big incoming of signings rather than a couple of signings.
And I think Benitez is also proper renowned manager signing for Newcastle, wasn't it?
Everyone was delighted when he came. Yeah, Benitez was like the calibre above. Like, he's good stuff in Spain, brilliant, pretty well at Liverpool. He actually did quite well at Chelsea, even if they didn't like him. So he was the next level of manager, I think, that could get. So yeah, everyone loved him. I think it just never worked. Benitez is very strong-willed with what he wants, and he wants control. And just Ashley, by the sounds of it, just kept, stringing him along, saying you'll get this, wouldn't necessarily give it to him. And there was going to be a point where Benitez was just like, no, it's not happening. I feel like he stayed maybe a little longer than he wanted because he thought maybe a takeover was going to happen.
Which signing is excited you the most?
Bruno Guimaraes. I know he was the 40 million one, but Eddie Howe he put him in quite slowly to the team. He didn't start a lot because we were getting results with the 3 in midfield that we were playing. But even in those 10 minutes that he came on, you could kind of see that he has a bit of class, like a level above what we have. I've never seen it at Newcastle like properly in my lifetime, especially like the last 10 years. Someone that's just so good on the ball and doesn't struggle. Like he's like the closest to Kabay that we've had for a long time. Kabay was great for us. He kind of strikes me a little bit like that. A lot of people were saying he's a defensive midfielder. He was never a defensive midfielder for us.
I think the shooters signing, which obviously is not a popular one, I think was Dan Burn.
Love it. Yeah, definitely.
Coming out of Brighton, they were in top 10. Yes, they don't score goals, which surprisingly they have been in the last 3-4 games. So I guess it's the manager and the vision.
Plus the fact he's originally from Newcastle and So he had I think when he was young, he had a trial at Newcastle, didn't essentially make.
Is Eddie Howe a stopgap arrangement, or is there going to be a big signing in terms of a manager?
I think he'll definitely get. He'll get the whole of next season, I guess. I think he'll get a significant period of time until it's proven that he maybe can't take us any further. The owners will give Howe as much time to prove himself. He's never had a team that could maybe challenge, I guess, for easily a top half.
We'll move on to one of the charts that you have been following for your season. So why don't you take us through this?
I made this a few weeks ago. I was thinking about. So I did a home and away one as well. And then I was like, there's a few games left where a lot of teams have a lot of the bigger opposition left, or for example, Man City didn't. I think at the stage of me doing this, didn't have any.
Right.
So I was just like, I thought I'd have a look and see how the players I picked were pretty much at that point. So what would that be? Maybe game week 32, 33 are players that people either own or people may want to own based on the double game weeks for the rest of the season. Yeah, so I put this together and it's quite interesting. Like, not every single player, some of it is just coincidence, variance, but there are some players where I think there is a bit of a trend. Salah is crazy against anyone. We get this impression, I think, from De Bruyne that he performs he performs generally well against most teams, but I find a lot of the time I'm like, oh, he does really well against the top 16. He does better against the bottom apparently, but against the top 6, probably if I expanded this and did multiple seasons, it might highlight even more. But he averages nearly 7 points a game against top 6, kind of showed that. He's such a reliable City asset across all types of opponent. Whereas you compare that to Foden, for example, he doesn't do great against the top 6. His stats are actually not too bad, but he doesn't do great. But then those points and those non-penalty expected goal involvement against the bottom 6 was what really highly impressive. Literally only Salah is better. Ironically, this is, like you say, a week or so old now, and he played Leeds and he's got 2 assists. On my home and away table as well, he was not very good at Etihad, but he was remarkable away from home, and he did that at Ellen Road as well. So Ronaldo was another I don't have, but I
Yeah,
noted it.
I was about to come to Ronaldo. Is this before the Chelsea game?
It's before the Chelsea game, so I was like,
Right.
I bet he does something, because he did it against played at Arsenal as well, right? They lost
Yeah, exactly.
again.
Yeah.
So I think this might have been before Arsenal and Chelsea, and I was like, he
Interesting.
performs very well against the top six. His stats aren't, they're good, but they're not like crazy in terms of expected goal involvement. I don't know what it is against the top six. He doesn't necessarily get loads of chances, but he just seems like so much more clinical. I don't know if it's that elite mindset against a top club. He has to show himself. Yeah, that's how I use this table sometimes, just to maybe not necessarily make decisions off the bat, but reinform decisions that I'm thinking of. Because like Cancelo's one that interests me when you compare him to Trent and James on the kind of non-penalty expected goal involvement. He's quite a bit off.
Has he got a goal this season? I'm not sure.
I think he's definitely got one, because I'm pretty sure he scored against Newcastle. Most teams do, so I remember that. But yeah, he's dried up, especially this second half. One thing Cancelo is he's a bonus. He gets bonus points. So if it's a narrow City win, he would probably generally be in there. He still is a good asset, and like you say, he's, for someone to be nailed in the City team is quite rare, and he seems the most nailed, I would say, especially out of the defenders.
Mason Mount versus the bottom six.
Yes,
it's just ridiculously, and I think his numbers: top six 3.86, middle eight 6.26, and bottom six 9.3. This is the biggest range that he's had in this whole sheet of all the players.
He was a bit unlucky yesterday against Everton. He hit the double post. It was, so that could have easily been a goal. Yeah. But he's non-penalty goal involvement, expected goal involvement against the top six and against the bottom isn't actually, it's no difference. It's the same basically, which kind of shows maybe he's been, I know, a bit of both. He's underperformed a little bit against the top six when he's been a bit unlucky, and vice versa. Maybe he's overachieved a little against the bottom six. Stats against the top six are pretty good, but they're just not quite converting to points for him.
You started this exercise in the beginning of the season, or as you said, just 2-3 game weeks back?
So this one is very recent for me. Like, I just thought it would be quite interesting. It's definitely something I'm going to continue doing. Problem is with doing it by top six, middle eight, you need quite a big sample size to make it kind of relevant. The one I've kind of been doing most of the season, or when I joined Twitter anyway, was the talisman tables, which is, I know, percentage of goal involvement for the top three for each team, which is kind of helpful. It gives you, they may not score that many goals, but if they do, who's likely to be involved? That's where the likes of Dennis and Pukki just come up massive, because if there's a goal for Norwich, it's probably Pukki, most likely, or who's involved somewhere. Those charts also just reinforce the Kane and Son. They're crazy for Tottenham. Is literally everything goes through them too. Whereas even Salah, a lot goes through Salah, but they have Trent, they have Jota, they have Mane, they have Diaz now. They can spread the goals a bit more, I think. And then City is the same issue as every year. They've got so many options, so many hard to predict.
Next game week is the double game week, where I think Leicester has one of the best teams fixture. Yeah, so this is your free hit team, which obviously you're not going to use the free hit next game week, but this is a draft that you've made.
So yeah, I'm not playing my free hit. I just thought it might be helpful for people to see what they could go. Also, a shout out to Plan FPL. I use their app on my phone, because I generally plan on my phone.
I really like this one.
Yeah, I plan on my phone, and I love it. There's so many good planning apps out there, but a lot of them require a computer or more. So this is the only one that I've found so far. It's like perfect on mobile. I think most people probably, if they've got a free hit left, they're probably not free hitting in 36. They're probably free hitting in 37 or maybe 38. But there's probably a few out there that maybe don't have any City, or have one City, and feel like this is the week that you need City, a little bit more push to free hit. Madison was one that I just put in there for the hope. If, for example, Leicester get knocked out of Europe, he's had his rest. I say rest, I don't know how injury, if it's an actual injury that he's got. I know he said he got a knock on the hip or something. If it's a glorified rest, they play in Europe on Thursday, they get knocked out. I wouldn't be surprised if Madison plays twice. They've got nothing else to focus on, which is why if they do, they are really nice fixtures. I know Everton are fighting for their life, so it's not as easy on paper probably, but they're lovely fixtures. But if you're not comfortable with the Madison, don't think he's going to start twice, you could easily downgrade him. So I know Gordon and then upgrade a striker to a Richarlison or something like that. Same with the defence. So it was just in the back of my mind, I feel like Robertson may be due a rest in one of those games. I doubt it'd be Tottenham, Villa maybe. Unless he gets rested in Champions League, but I'll be really surprised if that happens. And then, otherwise, I think the biggest benefit for a free hit team, right, in 36 is the treble city. And not just the treble city, it's the ideal city 3. And admittedly, no one knows what the ideal city 3 is. But I think De Bruyne's probably there. He had his rest against Leeds.
KDB resting the whole game against Leeds has kind of helped the FPL managers now that he will inspire whatever happens on Wednesday at Real Madrid. I think he will definitely play both the games in the double game week. Yeah.
So if you had to pick one player for 36, who's your one player you'd have in your team apart from KDB now? Because I think we both agree he's probably the man.
So I have Salah again. I have one free hit left. I am in a big conundrum whether to use in 37 or 38. I really like 38 fixtures. I think some of the home fixtures in 38 are just fantastic. I have Salah, I have Son. Getting KDB, all my money is back in the defense. For these guys, and fifth is cash. I would love to get KDB. He might be very explosive this double game week as compared to Salah. I have a very funny feeling about Liverpool's fixture against Aston Villa. I think Gerrard will try to prove a point there. Some or the other. The more I think about the stat, which we just saw about Maddison, being explosive in home games, especially against the bottom 6. I'm kind of leaning towards him. Again, it's just the expected minutes.
I like the Maddison shout, especially if you're in the free hit. You can maybe take a gamble on someone like Maddison. You've got the Gordon maybe. I think Gordon's good, but I don't love Everton's fixtures for this double. The next one's better. Gordon and Richarlison, as much as fall around a lot, in my opinion, they have the quality in that a final third to actually do stuff. And Gordon's a really good player. And actually, I think in one of my last 6 or last 10 week talisman charts, he's really up there for Everton.
All right, let's move on to your current team. So you currently have 2 City, 3 Liverpool, 2 Arsenal. I see you have Kulusevski and Kane, but not Son. And so what are the changes that you're looking for?
Yeah, so let's ignore Son. I've made my bed and I'm probably going to just lie in it. I honestly think these 2 games actually probably suit Son more than they do. So I've got 2 free transfers. Champions League pending with Man City. It will probably be Mount to Foden and Sarr to Schmeichel is probably my 2 transfers. If Foden gets 90, I will be a little bit worried, but he does seem a bit of a machine. He does seem to trust Foden a lot at the moment, so he still won't rule it out. I just kind of feel like Mount. I feel like he's going to be a single game week. I will be surprised if he's not rested for Leeds with the FA Cup.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point about the Chelsea assets. I think you will see a lot of rotation in the Leeds game at least.
Yeah, I agree. Especially for Alonso may play both because they don't have many options. I know Sarr could play left back in a 4, but he maybe will play both. I just don't see Reece James playing both. I just don't think that would risk him. I think he might play Wolves, and I think that rest him for Leeds, so he's ready.
So what do you suggest to people who have Reece James? Should they sell him to get that money, because he's not cheap as well, a second City defender who don't have 2 City defenders, or should they get maybe an Everton? Or
I think if the options are to get a City defender or Robertson, I think that seems a sensible move. I struggle to see many other defenders worth it for the double. If you've got Reece James in that situation, you don't feel like there's benefit on going to City or Liverpool, I would maybe keep him and accept it might be a single game week, but know you have him for 37 and 38 where their fixtures are pretty nice. I believe 38 is even really nice.
Are you gonna get Martinelli in your team? He's sitting on your bench right now?
If I make those moves, he'll stay on the bench. I kind of preempted. He's actually saved me this week. I think I'm on for a grey arrow or a red arrow, and then Martinelli is actually on my bench this week in my actual team. And he comes on for Trent, so I got lucky there.
It's been a peculiar season for most of us. Obviously, there have been a lot of postponements, and there have been double game weeks, right, one after another, blank game weeks, one after another. All right, let's get some questions in for you as far as FPL Quiz is concerned. Like I said in the beginning of the session, we have 3 questions here, mostly around Newcastle. Two questions are stat driven, and the third one would be a who am I question, where I would be giving clues about a Newcastle player and need to kind of guess the name.
Yeah.
All right. The first question. So this is, I'm talking about game week 20 onwards, which is the second half of the season. Which Newcastle player has amassed the highest points as far as FPL is concerned?
Oh, that is interesting. I will have a stab in the dark at Fabian Schär.
Oh, well done. Absolutely.
I was between him and Dubravka. I wasn't sure.
So yeah, Dubravka is second, and there's just a 1 point difference. Perfect start. Newcastle has had 11 victories this season, and they've had 10 draws as well. Now, Liverpool and Newcastle are the only two Premier League teams who haven't featured in this scoreline draw. What's that scoreline? And it's very common across other teams.
I'll go for the 0-0.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was like, we don't keep that many clean sheets, so maybe that would be.
Okay, so this is the identify the player question. So the first clue, and this is about the current Newcastle player. First clue is, this is my 9th year in my senior career, and Newcastle is my 7th club. Let me just finish that clue. And I recently turned 25. If that
25. Helps. 25. Jeez, that's young. 9th. I'll just stab in the dark at Matt Target.
No. I will give you the second clue. I have played for my countries under 16, under 17, and under 21, but I'm yet to make an appearance for my national senior team.
Ooh. I'm struggling here. Joe Willock. That's silly answer because he's only played for Arsenal before. But that can be my guess because I don't know.
No, it's not Willock. I have 5 goals, 6 assists this season, but I only have a solitary assist since game week 25.
5 goals, 6 assists. St. Maximin?
Yeah.
I didn't know he had that many clubs. That threw me, that one. Yeah. It makes sense because it makes sense he hasn't played for France. I know he hasn't played for France. I didn't know he had that many clubs though prior. That's interesting.
Yeah, I was surprised. He's just 25 and 7 clubs. And I think this is the first Premier League appearance for him. That's been awesome. He got 2 out of 3, which I also thought the third one was quite a tough one. You like you said, you have been working on a couple of sheets, and then I think the talisman one you have been working on since the time you come on Twitter, which is on December 2021 itself. That was a late debut.
Yeah, very late. I've been on my personal account. I've been on Twitter, FPL Twitter, quite a long time, as in following Twitter accounts. I never really contributed anything, and then I don't know what happened. December time, I was like, I should have done it years ago, but I ended up creating an account. I think luckily I created Joelinton at the time. I think it was just as he kind of got moved into centre mid, it was starting to become a proper good player for us. So
right.
The timing worked out well in that aspect. But I should join Twitter a long time ago. I try my best to interact with as many people as I can. It's nice generally. People just want.
Absolutely. No, absolutely.
People don't like tweeting to themselves, and the more interaction you get, the better experience you have.
We look forward to seeing more of your Excel sheet, stat-driven stuff. I also I'm more of a stat guy myself. I do get into the nitty-gritties, of every team. But this talisman and this one which you made, which we just shared, these are the ones which really make sense, and I think these stats are people get into these stats just for them to have a better background before they make decisions. Going forward, and that's what they are for, stats.
Yeah, exactly. And it's I know a lot of people at I test just watching football don't care about the stats, and that works as well. And that's why some of those charts I didn't put too many stats in. Sometimes it's sometimes I'm very stat driven, in my threads and stuff. Sometimes those tables, you got a stat in terms of non-penalty XG, but you've also got just the basic. This is points per game. This is what they've delivered. So try and get the best of both. But yeah, you're exactly right. I think it's important that everyone goes into a week having an idea of what they may or may not do, and if the stats, all the tweets that people put out help fund that decision, then that's when it's most helpful, rather than just being okay, I'm going to this stat here, this graph here, and this is going to make my decision. You should hopefully have a bit of an idea of roughly what you want to do, and all the resources can help back that up for you.
So I would request our viewers and listeners to please go follow FPL Joelinton. Extremely interactive on Twitter. Please do reach out to him for any help. DM him. He's been very kind, accepting my invitation as well, coming here. It was a pleasure speaking to you. Speaking about Newcastle, I think it's on a great trajectory right now. It'll be very interesting to see how the summer really kind of shapes up things going forward. So what's the end of season target for you?
I want to get top 10k, but because if I can get top 10k, that's 4 in the last 5 years, which is kind of something I think would be pretty cool. It's slipping away slightly, so if I don't get it, I'll be happy with, I don't know, wherever I am. Top 20k's I'm more than happy with.
Hope you get to 10k. Hope the next double game week, I think, is going to be a big one. It can be a game changer, and obviously the free hit that most of us have left as well. Thank you once again for your time and for your advice.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it a lot. Pleasure.